let's go on to the human cousins, you call them, the human cousins. And let's take an example of one of the human cousins that may have been, say, I think a lot of people relate to merpeople, right, in general. And I had the same experience as you. In fact, in dream time, I can breathe underwater. And I can do it to get out of situations where people would not expect to find me. So I can go under the water, shallow or deep, and I can feel it. It's the process of, it's like the cilia in your nose. Something, it kind of sounds crazy, but it can separate the hydrogen from the oxygen. It's interesting. And it turns, yeah. So anyway, let's go into merpeople. Not that I am one, I'm not, but let's talk about that.
I first heard about somebody else talking about merpeople when I was in my 30s. And it was a Cherokee medicine woman who's also recognized as a Buddhist teacher. And her name is Dahani Oahu. And she spoke about the green race that used to be on this planet. And sort of the penny dropped when this happened, and I thought, God, I really identify with this. And then not long after that, I was traveling in the Philippines and I met a man by the name of Oanise, if you can believe it. And that was the name of the fish god,
right,
Sumeria. And he was an Iroquois. And he was there with the Peace Corps. And he was also a marine biologist. And he was working with one of the ecosystems that was there, to preserve it and look after it.
Everything in his life pointed to this.
Everything in his life.
Preservation of health of the sea.
Yeah. Everything in his life pointed to that. And there's a lot of stories in Southeast Asia. And there he was, by the way, in Southeast Asia about the merpeople. A lot of stories in the Mediterranean about the merpeople. And when I was leading a group to Sacred Sites of Egypt, we had a Bedouin guide. And I had this feeling, I will speak about someone who's already passed over, Anwar Sadat. I had a feeling that he looked very much like my father, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Because you look nothing like that, but yes.
No, I don't look at all like my father's side of the family. My friend, this guide, he had been a friend of Anwar Sadat, and he was telling me that the green race, the merpeople, that they believe that the Bedouin were descended from this race.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive since they're landlocked and living in more sandy, arid environments.
Now they are.
Now,
the environment
coming up from the sea
has changed. And when I was delving into the merpeople on the earth, they were peace-loving, but they had to come on the land in order to, bear their children and things like that. But they spend most of the time in the water.
I hope you're enjoying this video, because if you are, there are dozens more like it on my site, all supported by people like you. So if you'd like to keep this work rolling in and join our community, just click on the Patreon button at reginameredith.com. That also gives you access to insider commentary, my live book club, and other live events with special guests. So join in. Thanks.
Even now, there are people who are born with webbed feet, webbed hands, and sometimes when their legs are fused, they call it medically, the name is mermaid syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And sometimes even some of their organs are fused. And if anyone's born with this, they usually only make it, first few years of life. These are throwbacks to this, this gene.
Yes.
Where it used to be one of our races. And now the merpeople, they're still existing. They still have their own world, but it's a little bit higher frequency than our three-dimensional human world.
Okay, so what about the kind of popular notions For example, the story of the siren, the mermaids, the sirens that would call to the people on the land. The females would call to the males on the land and mesmerize and draw them in. I mean, this is a fairly popular myth, if you want to call it that, or reality. What do you know about that with the mermaids and their interaction and effect on humans?
Well, every time that you have one evolution of people taking dominance, they will want to kill out the other ones and demonize them, and they become evil. And so we can see that with the Olympic gods, the Greek gods, that, said that the Titans were the evil ones and they demonized them. We can see it with Christianity and what they said about the satyrs, the pan-hybrids, who they turned into Satan.
Right.
Right. So this is the same with the
mermaids.
The land dwellers. Yeah, the land dwellers
would come under the spell of these sirens who were going to draw them down into the sea and drown them, seductresses.
Yeah. And what they would drown them in is the idea of this collective unconscious.
Yes.
Because humans on the land were becoming more and more physical, wanting to be more and more dominant and work with their ego, and which has had its repercussions. And the mermaid race, the Merpeople race, were especially attuned, because they were water beings, they were especially attuned to the etheric and to the emotions and to the collective unconscious of the earth, the collective unconscious of humanity. And so these heroic land dwellers couldn't afford to be taken under the spell, because that might raise their consciousness so they wouldn't be able to kill and pillage.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you might also want to consider joining Patreon, which allows me to keep all of this content free and available to everyone. And if you're looking for like-minded souls, you might also enjoy my online community called Our Neighborhood. Links to join are in the description.